Captain America 4 Brave New World. Was it really that bad? I'm gonna make this a quick review. It's not gonna be a quick review. I'm gonna say that it is, and it's not going to be. This is what I will say. I very much enjoyed this movie. It's not as bad as what a lot of people are saying. Um, not at all. The issue. This movie really wasn't that bad. The thing is, with Marvel movies nowadays, they're being compared to each other and they're not being seen for the quality that they have to offer as individual movies. Like I said, I've watched The Eternals, I've watched Shang-Chi, I've watched a couple of movies with people and didn't tell them that these movies were a part of Marvel. I just wanted, just these are just some standalone movies, and they all enjoyed these movies. But it seems like a lot of people said, "Oh, The Eternals was terrible. Thor: Love and Thunder was terrible. Shang-Chi was terrible." It's like I don't think these movies are not terrible. It's just the fact that they exist in a cinematic universe. It kind of jades or influences the way that we see these movies. If you just watch the movie for what it is as its own movie, it's like okay, cool. There's a different there's a different type of feel when you watch it. This movie definitely wasn't that bad. If I had to give it a rate out of 5 stars, 2.5 to 3. I want to lean more toward 3. A lot of the fans said that they were tired of the multiverse stuff. So this movie really got away from the multiverse stuff, tried to make the fans happy. A lot of people they were talking about Spider-Man, Spider-Man 4 and what they want to do with Spider-Man 4, and a lot of people said that they just want a street level movie. They just want a street level. It doesn't have to be out of control. They're kind of sick of all the tie-ins. Um, they're just sick of just these big complicated stories, and they just wanted a simple story. This movie gave the fans that, a nice simple story. Um, so they said that they compared a lot of people compared this to Captain America: Winter Soldier. I didn't get those vibes at all, but again, it's another comparison to another movie. Um, the issue with that, the big issue with comparing this movie to Winter Soldier, is that the main message behind the Winter Soldier was about loyalty and the destruction of loyalty, and just what does that mean to Captain America or Steve Rogers as a character, and how devastating is that to his actual world? Everything in the Winter Soldier that you see, how big that story was a reflection of how deeply impacted Steve Rogers was by this whole idea of loyalty and what it means when it's betrayed and what that physically looked like, seeing a sense of betrayal or loyalty being violated. So the Winter Soldier had a very strong, powerful message behind it. There were just different circumstances. Thing about Captain America 4 is it's not as complicated as all of that. The message is different. So I don't get how people are comparing these movies together. But again, if you want to talk about spy movies and like you can't compare every spy movie. I don't know because like I said, what does this movie have by itself? When you compare it to other movies, then of course you're going to say, "Oh, this movie did it better. This movie did it better. This movie was a copy and paste of that movie." It's like you can't just do that with every movie. So I felt like a lot of people trying to compare this movie to Winter Soldier just wasn't right because it's like it's a spy movie, in a way. It's a what is it, espionage? Is that what the name? I don't know. It was different. I actually watched this movie twice. The first time I watched it, whatever. But the second time I watched it, I kind of had a feel for the movie. So when I watched it the second time, it was highly enjoyable compared to the first one. Um, no, this movie is really not that bad, but the problem is that there seems to be a weird echo chamber for just hating Marvel movies, or just there seems to just be an echo chamber for just hating movies, or analyzing or reviewing movies in general for the most part. Um, it's hard to say that because there are constantly people trying to fight and argue, and I don't want to sit here and say something just to have someone not understand what I meant and then say something that tries to negate it, and then it just becomes an argument. The point I'm trying to make is no, this movie wasn't that bad. It was great. I had a good time. It was fun. It was simple. It tied into 2008 Hulk movie. Of course, if you know, um, the Hulk is not under the rights of Marvel or Disney. Last time I checked, so they cannot make any kind of a standalone Hulk anything. So this was a good way of bringing that in back into relevance, the 2008 Hulk movie. So I'm very happy that they did. I'm very happy that they introduced this with this Captain America 4 movie, because the way that the lineup is, there was no way that they could really bring that story arc back and make it make sense with other tie-in characters. We already knew about the character, Harrison Ford's character. We knew he was the Red Hulk from the comic books and everything. From what I understand, I haven't from what I understand, and like we know about that. We know it's just like with Thor Ragnarok, when they had the Hulk and Thor Ragnarok to kind of bring that storyline back, what happened after Age of Ultron. So I'm glad that they used this movie, because we have Captain America and the symbol that Captain America represents, what he stands for, and having that tie into the Hulk storyline coming back from 2008 was like the perfect opportunity. I think that was just the perfect opportunity. They could not do it in She-Hulk simply because She-Hulk was mainly about modern day modern dayism, and just how modern day influences actually ruin certain pieces of media. There was actually a message there with She-Hulk actually representing what people felt about the movie, what they thought, but you know. So She-Hulk had its own message going on. So trying to tie in the whole 2008 Hulk universe with She-Hulk wouldn't have worked. So they had to do it at some point, and they had to do it with something. It only made sense to make it in Captain America 4, especially with the whole presidency, with you know the whole storyline from Civil War, when Harrison Ford's character broke up the Avengers, and that's kind of been a loose plot since Infinity War, basically, or since before Infinity War. So that had to be dealt with in some way. So this movie really did tie up some loose ends in the Marvel, universe. So I really did appreciate that. Um, the whole comparison of Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers, it's not comparable, simply because Captain America is not a character; it's the symbol, and Sam Wilson's character embodies the symbol. Um, yeah, so no, this movie really wasn't that bad. I deeply admire Sam Wilson's character and what he did in this movie. I hate that it took 10 minutes for me to actually start right now, but this is supposed to be a message about the themes and the messages of the movie. It's so hard to actually say into words um, what these messages are because there was just so many of them. Sam Wilson's character is very grounded, and this movie had a lot of that. Um, yeah, so you know what? I'm just going to leave this as a second review for my second time watching it. My second time watching it, I understood more of what was going on, and it was a movie where I could just sit down and enjoy it for what it was and sit down and enjoy it for what it had to offer. And it was just entertaining for what it was. And then, you could have fun with your friends watching it, and it was fun. It was a great movie, and it had some good messages. It had some emotional depth to it, and that was it. It wasn't anything too big or spectacular or huge, or you didn't have to watch 14 other movies to understand what was going on in this movie. It was a good time, and it was not as bad as people say that it was. So yeah, my second time watching it. This is my second review on that movie.